Once again, we're on the third floor, the Rhode Island State House, in a segment that we call simply Capitol Spotlight. What we like to do is turn the spotlight on a member of the General Assembly and discuss some of the issues that are important to them, things they're working on, and how it might affect you and me, Rhode Island citizens. It gives me a great deal of pleasure to welcome back a gentleman we've had the good fortune to speaking with before, the Honorable State Representative Jared Nunes. Representative, it's great to see you again.
Good to see you too, Dave, and thanks to your viewers for tuning in today.
Well, listen, I know one of the things that you have been interested in, you've been outspoken on, and I'd like you to bring us up to date on what you're doing and what your position is regarding the governor's proposal to bump the restaurant tax 2% here in the state of Rhode Island to deal with some of our budget problems.
Well, I don't think it's much of a secret that I'm opposed to that increase in tax. A thing that a lot of people don't realize is that the meals tax in general is really, the way it's structured is not very fair in general, because we're already charging 8% on the entire service and the product. You know, when you go out to eat, you pay, the business owner pays for the materials that go into the meal. You know, say you buy a steak dinner, they pay for the steak, and then, you know, they have to prepare it, they have to serve it to you. So there's all the service in there that we're getting taxed on anyways. So even at the 8%, we're already overtaxed. To add another 2% on top of that is just it's just further exacerbating a bad tax as it is.
On my way driving in today, I heard my friend and former colleague Bill Haberman on the radio, great guy, was reporting that maybe the governor is backing away from this a little bit. If I interpret Mr. Haberman's news report correctly on WPRO, he said that the governor, because of revenues being higher than expected, that maybe you won't have to experience much pain. I'm sure experiencing any pain would be upsetting to you, but did you read that story? Did you hear that news today?
I didn't hear it, but just from what you're saying, it does show that the governor realizes how bad of an actual tax that would be, and how bad that would affect everyday Rhode Islanders and the business owners that own these restaurants, because that's the first place that he's looking to cut that section out of his budget. So, I mean, that just shows that the governor realizes it's a bad, it's not the best plan either.
You know, being a bachelor representative, I eat a lot of meals out. I'm an absolutely horrible cook. And unfortunately, when I meet some of the servers, the men and women who do such a great job here in Rhode Island, you know, I feel that maybe if a tax like that would ever happen, they would feel the brunt of that pain, because people might be not quite as generous with their tipping because the tax is increased.
Well, you know, a lot of people have brought that concern up to me, that, you know, hopefully it doesn't come out of the server's end or the you know, but it's really, the tax itself is not something that is going to generate a whole lot of money, all right? And that's really the one of the bright spots in the Rhode Island economy right now is the plethora of restaurants that we have the option of going out to. I mean, these are world-class establishments, and we're gonna go and hit them with this tax, when that's really one of the biggest employers in the state of Rhode Island right now is the service industry.
You know, I've only lived here since 2006. And I tell everybody, I've yet to have a bad meal in Rhode Island. I think that, as I used to say in the fight game, pound for pound, I'd put our restaurants up against any state in the country in terms of quality, efficiency, diversity. It is really, I think, one of Rhode Island's great calling cards.
Absolutely, and we definitely don't want to do anything to jeopardize that at all.
Now, tell us about this other legislation that you've been working on. You're going to have to explain it to me in lay terms. This fire tax bill, what's that all about?
Basically, as you're well aware, a number of years ago, the state passed a property tax cap, which caps the increase amount of property taxes statewide. A lot of people don't realize it, that fire districts were excluded from that. Now there's 40+ fire districts throughout the state. This particular bill that I put in would apply only to the town of Coventry's fire districts, because that's really the community I represent. I didn't want to get into other people's business, all right? I'm more concerned about my constituents in my town. So what this bill does is it makes the fire districts have to abide by the property tax cap. And this was really prompted by a couple of bad budgeting years locally, where they've had, you know, 9-10% tax increases, And actually, last year the commercial tax rate was doubled. So, we're trying to stimulate business in this bad economy, especially in places like Coventry that could definitely use it. And it really, the bill that I put in makes them abide by the property tax cap, which makes a more predictable atmosphere for not only for the businesses but also for the taxpayers who are struggling just as much as anybody is. So it gives them a more predictable tax rate where they don't really have to worry about getting double-digit tax increases.
Representative Nunes, thanks a million for talking to us. My best to you and your colleagues in the House.
Thank you, Dave. It's always a pleasure.
And thanks to you, of course, for watching from the third floor of the Rhode Island State House. My name is Dave Barber.